So today I'm going to show you some progress that I made on making my wheel wells for my 65 Mustang. Um, it's going okay. I have a solid plan for what I think I'm going to try and do to get these all flushed out. Let me just show you all what I was doing and just show you the process from there. So right now I've got this, I think it's either 18 or 20 gauge metal that I've kind of bent up, and so I've got it in roughly the shape that the old Fender well, or the wheel well, looked like. Obviously not perfect, but it's close enough where I can probably get this to fit perfectly. So the next thing that I have to do is I've marked this line right here where the trunk support is going to be hitting this piece. So I got to cut this line, and then what I'm going to do is get the front of this to fit in this little corner over here, and start drilling some holes in this side. So I made this about, what was it, half an inch to an inch bigger than it needed to be. So I'm going to drill holes every couple inches over here. I got some seam sealer coming, so I'm going to seam seal this, and then I'm going to self-tapping screw it onto this inside piece. And then, since that side will all be sealed up, I won't have to weld it. I'll just leave it as is, have this piece sticking out right about to here if my measurements are right, and then I will just build a flat piece coming straight up, intersecting this side, and I'll either bend that piece over to match this, or I might just try and weld the inside of this straight to it. I haven't quite gotten that far yet. We'll see what happens. Who knows? The creative process does weird things, and sometimes you change your mind halfway through. Sometimes you just continue on with what you think you're doing, and we'll just see what happens. So let us start. So throughout portions of today's video, I'm going to be muting the microphone. I don't quite have the software to cut the maximum audio so far, so I want to make sure I don't blow you guys' eardrums out. But every now and again, I'll come back and I'll re-talk to you guys about the process and how things are going. And I hope you guys enjoy. as you guys can see, the shoot. All right. As you guys can see, I have cut out this little piece right here, so I should be able to fit this all the way in. I just need to, yeah. So I just need to cut that little end piece right there, allow it to fit in this little corner, and then we should be good to get that piece up in there and start getting her all hooked up. Alright, so it's not quite fitting. I'm going to try and cut like, I don't know, this much off of this and see if this edge will stop it from catching on the front of the back fender well, and see if that works. Still hitting right about here, so I'm going to lop this corner off, and maybe it'll be a perfect little fit, hopefully. She's not perfect, but she'll fit in place with a little bit of persuasion. So I'm going to start marking off like a 3/4 inch, 1 inch gap on this side right here. So then I can start drilling all my holes for my self-tapping screws so they can just go straight into the sheet metal on the car. And then my body seam sealer should get here sometime soon, sometime either today or tomorrow, and then I'll actually put this up for real. But this will at least give me a template for the opposite side that I can work on, and then hopefully I can create 2 matching pieces and then work on the plate that will seal the inside of the fender well to the top of this piece. Here's my line for about where I'm trying to get the get matched up with the inside of the fender well, so that there's a decent sized strip touching. I'm just gonna put this in the car real quick, make sure that the fitment looks good, and then I'll start drilling all my holes in the center of this, and we can start testing it. So, fitment looks pretty decent, which is good. So I'll start drilling all these little holes, and we'll go from there. These are the little self-tapping screws that I'll be using. I'm going to find a drill bit that's just a little bit smaller than this so that it still has some bite in this metal when it's going through. But I'll start drilling my holes. I'll probably put, I don't know, 10 or so in there. With the seam sealer, I'm not too concerned about having it super tight. I just need it tight enough to where the seam sealer will seal top of this to top of that. I made sure to put this little piece of wood underneath here just so I'm not drilling into my bench top. It's not a super expensive bench, but if I could try and avoid putting holes in it, I will. So I'm just going to make sure that everything, all these screws can fit inside here and go through. And then I'll start trying to mock it up on the car. I just want to make sure that these don't get, well, fight me like they're about to fight me when I'm trying to do this here. So I wish when I bought the self-tapping screws that I'd bought in the hex head kind and not the Phillips head kind. I really like the hex head ones that I have for my concrete stuff, but alas, I bought these ones instead before I even knew the other ones existed. So, if anybody can learn anything from this, buy the hex head screws whenever you can, because they're so much easier to use. Less chance of stripping, less just problems in general. At least in my personal opinion. Alright. So I've got all my screws in on this side. I'm going to go put this up to the inner wheel well and see how good it looks. Assuming it still fits like I think it's going to fit, I'll probably put a couple of these through and get all my holes cut for them. Then take this all off, make a second matching one on the reverse for my other side, cut out the trunk support for that one, and go from there. Yeah, and that's the problem that I have with these. So, as I'm trying to put some of these in, they've already started stripping the screw heads. That's why I don't like them, but it's what I got. It's what I got to use. So, let me just show y'all the fun that I'm about to have. See if I can work this thing. Down, and there you go. Let's see if I can get y'all low enough to show you this. Let's see how that goes. Okay. So I got this one installed right now. That one's actually all the way through, and it's what's holding this entire piece up. So I started trying to get this one in, but it just started stripping immediately. So now I'm going to work on one of these top ones just to get this knocked out, and then just work my way down. So I'm not going to torque these down all the way and just potentially strip them out until I get the that body filler or the seam sealer. But I just want to get all my holes drilled fresh. So then I also know what I'm working with, how it looks, how it feels. So instead of going straight in, this bottom one, probably both of them, are trying to turn up, so it's just deflecting off of the inner fender well. So I'm going to see if I can just reposition this real quick and get a better angle. Okay. And stripped. But I did just get a hole through right there, so I could just use this one temporarily. Get that lined up. There you go. So that's at least in a hole that it made. And let's get this last one. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, that thing's stuck on something. I'm just going to grab a different screw. Be right back. There you go. Okay, that one's stripped. Wonderful. Either way, this is a good demonstration of what this is going to look like from the inside. Show me what all I got to clean up inside here, but let's go inside the car. Show y'all what stuff looks like inside there. Okay, so as you can tell, there's a tiny gap down here. It's going to be easy to fix. I'll just grab another small piece of metal and I'll probably just weld that in. This seam going up through here actually looks pretty good. It's looking pretty tight. I didn't clip my little wire right there, which is cool. I was worried about that. And then, yeah, I'm thinking that's good. So next I'll probably just, like I said, pull this down, make my mirrored piece over here, cut this off, and then I'll work on the flat plate that's going to match up right here, and we'll go from there. But until I work on that, I'll see you guys later. So I decided that instead of trying to take this piece out and copy it, it'll probably just be easier and more time efficient if I just took this piece that I cut and just bent it up to the other piece that I had, which is the original fender well, and just matching this like I did the other piece, and see how that goes. I think that'll be a lot easier. Then I don't have to mess with pulling this out right now and putting it back in. So I'm just going to start bending this up by hand real quick. Just try and make sure I get at least this front and this back bend in the exact same spot. The rest of this doesn't necessarily matter. I want it to be close, but with the way that I'm going to be installing this, it doesn't really matter. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start in the middle and work my way out. I think that's going to be the easiest way for me to just conform the piece. So if you had actual like metal bending tools, this would be significantly easier. I do not have stuff like that. So I just gotta kind of go by feel. You know, I'm no fabricator. I'll, you guys can tell that from my work, but I can very easily get stuff to a functional state where it's not going to break, it's not cause any issues. Overall, it'll be functional. Right, so this half is looking good, so now I'm going to work on the other half. Side profile's close, but not quite there yet. I'd say that looks pretty good. Let's go on over here and try and put her up and see what happens. I'm expecting it to not quite be perfect, but it should at least get me in the ballpark here. Did in fact get me in the ballpark. So now I gotta cut this piece, make sure I can actually slide that all the way over, and then I can go from there. So I could try and match the piece up to the edge, but I think if I just eyeball this one like I eyeballed the other one, it'll be close enough to where I can make it all work. Now I'm going to cut that out, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully she fits. got that all cut out. See how she fits now. Well, unfortunately it's about an inch short, but I think it'll work perfectly. So, I'm going to work on drilling out all these holes that I did on the other side, and we're going to go from there. This is going pretty quick, a lot quicker than I expected it to go. I know, well, I didn't really have a plan for how long it was going to take. It was just however long it was going to take, you know? But sometimes being quick is a good thing. It means I can get on with this project, finish cleaning up the insides of these, make the little standoff plate that I'm missing, just kind of go from there. So I'm just going to do the same thing again where I mark an inch on the inside so I know roughly where I want my screws to land. It's not perfect. I'm not a perfectionist by any means. I just want to make sure that I'm landing them somewhere close to each other, so I don't potentially run into any issues with like not having any. Well, making sure I'm filling in all my gaps. Even with seam sealer, like I'm pretty confident that I want it to be tight and not super all over the place. Yeah, now time to drill all the holes. And in case anybody was wondering, the reason why I'm building my own instead of just buying them is a set of, let's call them universal wheel wells. It's like $300. I think I got a full 4x8 sheet of whatever gauge this is. I think it's either 18 or 20 for, it was like $100. So for being able to do a bunch more body work and do pretty much whatever I want, it was a third of the cost of wheel wells that I would still have to do all this work to get it to fit perfectly. So I'd rather just save the money, spend a little bit of time, and accomplish everything I needed to accomplish. I'm actually going to see if I have a tiny collar that'll like hold these up while I'm trying to screw these down. Maybe this will help me like get them in there better, so then I don't have to fight them as much. So I will say, at least these are Phillips head, not flathead. I think I'd lose my mind if these things were flathead. It was constantly jumping off and stuff. Cool. Alright, so this is all done. I got all my screws in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go install these screws, see how everything looks like it fits, and then what I'll probably do in my next video is pull these both down, clean the surfaces of everything, and then use this stuff to try and adhere this panel to my inner fender well in my car and see how waterproof she is, and then fill all the tiny little holes and stuff that I gotta fill. But let's go install these real quick. So I don't know where everybody else is, but I'm in Florida, and it's like 30 or 40 degrees colder than it normally is in Florida. So it's not the best thing to be doing this work in, but it's only so much you can do. It can't be perfect Florida weather all the time. So I'm going to do what I did on the other side, and I'm going to work from the middle down, or the middle out. That way I can get this all started relatively easy and not have to fight it so much. Okay, so I got that one in. Cool. Let me put this thing where I want it to be. I'll get this top one in. cool that one's in. Let's get this bottom one in place now. Alright, before I get the rest of these in, I'm just going to take a look at that, see how it looks from this back side. Oh, she's looking good. Definitely going to have a little bit more of a gap on this side than I did on this side over here, but I think she'll look good. Let me just give you all a quick little view of that. Now, here you go. You can see the little gap that I'm talking about. Not all that bad. That'll be easy to fix with some cutouts that I have. But it goes all the way up. It's touching my little trunk support right there, just like this side is. So I'll be able to just tack weld these guys down. I'll weld that because it's easy. There's no real reason to put more time and effort into that. But yeah, let's show you the inside and then finish the rest of this, and we'll go from there. So I'd say it's all looking pretty good. Finish this up and then take the next step from there. Until then, you guys take care.